Most burglaries don't fail. When a professional crew breaks into a shop, they usually know exactly what they're doing. But there is one that didn't go to plan, and I can show you why. This is genuine CCTV footage from a break-in at a mobile phone store in Naples, Italy. There's 5 offenders, they've got tools at the ready and a plan clearly in place. But within seconds, the whole thing completely unravels. So let's go through it piece by piece and break down exactly what's happening. We start with a car pulling up outside the building, and immediately something stands out to me. This looks like a saloon car, which normally means it's got a fairly small trunk opening. It's not exactly ideal if you're trying to quickly load stolen goods into the back of it. But look at the rear window. There's tape and cardboard and all sorts of mess going on. My guess is they've either smashed or cut the rear window and modified the back of the car so that they can open the trunk up much wider. That way they can just drop whatever they steal straight into the car. This is a clear indicator that they know what they're doing and they've planned ahead. And it also makes me wonder whether this was their first stop of the night. Yes, I can imagine they did steal the car, but they may well have already done 1 or 2 other hits on stores and are working their way around a whole route of sites. And if I'm not mistaken, this looks like an Alfa Romeo, which is kind of fitting because the footage is from Naples, which is in Italy, where Alfa Romeo comes from. Anyway, the car stops, 5 guys get out. They're all wearing masks, they're all hooded, their faces are covered. So they're clearly worried about being identified on CCTV. And this is actually something that police officers have mentioned to me many times before. CCTV footage is incredibly valuable evidence. But you might ask right now, from this footage alone, you can't prove who these people are. So how would CCTV help in a situation like this? Let's imagine the crime gets reported quickly. The police manage to stop the suspects before they've had time to dump a car, before they've hidden the goods, before they've even changed their clothes. So you've got 5 suspicious looking people wearing the exact same clothes, driving the exact same car with a boot full of stolen goods. And then you add the CCTV footage in, showing those guys at the scene, and everything gets tied together. But that only works if the footage gets to the police quickly. The longer it takes for them to get that video, the harder it becomes to connect all the pieces. So I hear from police time and time again, turn in your CCTV footage as soon as you possibly can. 2 of these guys grab long metal bars and go straight for the door. Clearly it's not reinforced in any way, and the chances are they already knew that. A group like this will often scope a place out during the day beforehand. And look how quickly the door gives way. They're in within 5 or 6 seconds. And there is one thing that will immediately help them out. All the lights are already on, which makes it really easy to find the expensive phones that they're looking for. At the bottom of the frame, you can see the guy with a big bar forcing open one of the cupboards in the display island. They know that the stock of phones is kept there. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they'd been in during the day, pretending to be customers just to see where all this stuff was stored. And as soon as that door in the cupboard is open, he moves straight on to go for the next one, and it's his mate that dives in to start grabbing his stock. It's clear that these guys are organised and they've got their own specific roles. You've got the crowbar guy and you've got the grab the stuff guy. That front island is probably where the newest and most desirable phones are stored and displayed. And that kind of leads me on to a bit of an ongoing battle in retail. Security-minded people will always want the valuable stuff locked away, but the sales-minded people will want it on display to attract new customers. And those 2 mindsets don't really play that nicely together, and you can see why. Meanwhile, at the top of the frame, you can see 2 of the others heading straight to the back of the shop. They know where they're going. It's not some opportunistic crime. This is organised, but it is also where things start to go wrong for them. At this point, they've only been inside for about 5 seconds. They've already forced one cupboard open and potentially are starting to load out stock. They're moving really quickly, but everything is about to fall apart. By this point, the intruder alarm should have triggered, and this is where the smoke screen will activate. So in this case, the fog generator is mounted in or on the ceiling above that front island, and you can see the effect immediately. Straight away, Crowbar Guy disappears out of the left of frame and we never see him again. His mate does try to keep going for the stock. You can kind of see his foot in that corner, but he gives up pretty quickly as well. At the top of the frame, the fog actually fires behind those two guys that ran all the way in. Now, as someone who knows fog inside and out, this isn't exactly ideal placement because there's a danger of creating a man trap. If those guys didn't react quickly, they could end up struggling to find their way out. But in this case, they turn straight around and run back out the way they came in. And on top of that, it looks like they're empty-handed as well. So about 8 seconds into the activation, the fog has completely obscured the CCTV view. Now, at this point, I'd say if the camera can't see anything, I don't think those guys can see anything either. But there is one more thing that you might spot as well. You can see these guys running out of the front door and they're all covering their faces as best they can, not just with their masks, but with their hands and their jackets. Kind of like this. The thing is, they don't know what's in the fog. All they know is that some scary white gas has appeared out of nowhere and is filling up that shop. It could be knockout gas or poison, for all they know. So, on top of the lack of visibility, combined with the stress and anxiety of committing the crime, we've now added in a new element of perceived danger. I've got no doubt that in their minds there wasn't even a question of what's this white stuff coming out. They simply saw the fog and ran. Now, back outside, all 5 guys are straight back into the car and the car's rolling before the door's even properly closed. After that, the fog will keep filling up that shop and you can already see it pouring out through the front door. An alarm will almost certainly have been raised now, whether it's just the basic intruder alarm and sound door or whether it is a monitored system. Someone will be on the way to secure the building, whether it's a key holder or the police or just the guy next door. But the fog itself will hang in the air for another 40 minutes or so, so even if these guys circle back around, they're not getting back in for round 2. And yeah, there is some damage to the door and to the locks. And it's possible they grabbed a few handfuls of stock in those first few seconds, but it's pretty clear that without the fog, this would have been a very different outcome. These guys were well equipped, they were organised. They knew exactly where they were going and what they were going in for, and they almost certainly would have emptied that store out completely. With this episode, I really wanted to dig into how fog affects the behaviour of criminals like this. These are hardened, experienced burglars, prepared for a fast get in and get out. But they were stopped in their tracks by the fog, and you can see the panic in their actions. Their fear is palpable. They don't know that the fog won't hurt them, but they do know that if they get stuck, then they're in trouble. And that is kind of the whole point of fog. It interrupts that pattern, disrupts the learned behaviour, so the only viable response is to flee. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to see more analysis videos like this, let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.